Welcome to Free Beer Friday, powered in part by the Bearded Monk and Classic of Denton. The views and opinions expressed by the show hosts and their guests are those of the show host and guests, and not necessarily those of the sponsors, DentonRadio.com, or the Denton Convention and Visitors Bureau. For more information, visit the Policies and Procedures page at DentonRadio.com.
So I guess Free Beer Friday looks a little different for a while. I am Betsi Good of Union Bear Brewing Company, and normally we'd be in the studio at the Denton Downtown Visitors Center with Jake and Ben from the Bearded Monk and Jennifer the Bearded Lady. But since we're social distancing, you just get me in a hammock in my backyard with my dogs. And I am drinking a pretty fabulous beer. So I am a part of the Pink Boots Society, and it's something we talk about a lot on the show, but for those of you who do not know what that is, it is a collective of women in the craft beer industry. We are all professionals in some form or fashion. We're brewers, we're marketing managers, we're taproom staff, we're brewery owners, social media people. We do all sorts of different stuff, wear a lot of different hats. And so we get together as a professional group, and our professional group is also a 501(c) nonprofit. And we give women opportunities in the industry that they may not have had before. So opportunities for education, for career advancement. And I think one of the most important things we do is to do collaboration brew days. So the Pink Boots Society has done a lot of different collaboration brew days. We've done more than one now with Hop and Sting in Grapevine. We've done brews with Funky Picnic. We've actually done 3 beers in the short time that Funky Picnic has been open. We've done collabs with Hop Fusion. Hop Fusion has one of our beers out right now, 1989, a Berliner Weiss. We've done a couple of different collabs with Martin House in Fort Worth. They've done a couple of IPAs with us using the Pink Boots hops. And so the most recent brew that we did was from Hop and Sting. And this was a really unique opportunity for a few different reasons. One being that they let us write the recipe, which is always really fun. I always offer to do it, and you can take it or leave it. It's obviously their brewery, but it's one of my passions and something that's really fun for me. So we got to write the recipe for them. It is a double hazy IPA that is triple dry hopped using the Pink Boots hop blend from Yakima. And that one has Eldorado, Azaka, Idaho Gem, and Laurel. So it's a really nice mix of some really fruity aromatic hops, as well as some that have a bit of like pininess, like just a slight touch of resin. It gives it a lot of complexity. And then we included Equinox hops as well, and a little bit of Trident on the hot side. Trident's really, really nice and fruity, and the Equinox really gave it a nice fruity aroma. We dry hopped a little bit with it, used it on the hot side a little bit, and it turned out pretty fantastically. And part of the reason that this is so special for us is not just because we got to participate by writing the recipe, but also because it is our biggest batch to date. When we measure beer, we measure in barrels. I think the biggest we'd done previously would have been Hop Fusion's 1989, the Berliner Weiss. We brewed on their 15-barrel system. We actually purposely overfilled just a little bit, so we got about 16 barrels of that beer. And then our next one was Hop and Stings, where we did 30 barrels. So a barrel is 31 gallons, so we brewed 930 gallons of this beer, and we put a lot of hops in it. So we had, a good amount of loss to the amount of hops that we hopped it with, especially in the dry hop. We used 4 pounds per barrel just in the dry hop alone, and it was just shy of 5 pounds per barrel total in the beer. So it was a big, big, big batch, and they bought the Pink Boots hops and let us use their hops. They've got a really nice array of hops because they do a lot of IPAs as well at Hop and Sting. And so we just loaded this thing up with hops. It's got a really great haze, and I keep talking about it. I should be drinking it. Doing it wrong. So cheers and thank you to Hop and Sting. I'm not technologically advanced enough to invite them to my hammock via Zoom or whatever for the interview, but maybe we'll figure out some stuff like that in the future. But thank you, you guys, and to all of the breweries that have supported the Pink Boots Society, and especially where we're at right now, not being able to get out. It's really nice to, see this come to fruition and to see it go into cans and to have their support even during a time that they need support as well. So if you get a chance, it is all over the Metroplex. I know it's going to be in Denton. The Bearded Monk got a hold of some, and actually Denton County Brewing Company is going to get a keg of it so that they can can it and sell it out of their brewery. So support your local places that are selling these beers. Go to Hop and Sting and buy it directly from them. And I don't know, give it a shot. Let me know what you think. I think it's pretty delicious. So since you only get me, and there's no one here to converse with me except for the dogs, I thought I would take you on a little mini tour of what I've been up to. So I was one of the first employees that was furloughed when all of this came around. You can't keep on a whole brewing and restaurant staff when you don't have nearly as many customers. A lot of restaurants are down at least 50%, if not more, and they're making it up as best they can by packaging, selling beer to go, and they're also trying to make it up by selling food to go. So a lot of places, I think, are having a lot of success with that, but even the most successful places are still not doing as well as they were before in most cases. So I was one of the first people to be furloughed. I was working at 3 different places, and so I've got a lot of spare time on my hands now. And so I decided to bring back my home brewing hobby that got me into working as a craft beer professional in the first place. I started, maybe 8 or 9 years ago, home brewing on a very small scale in the kitchen in my apartment, brewing 1-gallon batches. And, now I'm brewing many more gallons batches. So I didn't even really have a great setup anymore because since I've been brewing professionally, I haven't really been home brewing. So some friends were nice enough to provide me with some of the things I needed, and I decided to do some weird stuff. So I've taken most of it apart already, but I had a mash tun here, borrowed from a friend. Over here, there's a wort chiller, which is a pretty cool thing to have. That's not something that a lot of homebrewers get to have. Boil kettle over there, hot liquor tank here. And what I decided to do, which was a little bit different and weird, because I was feeling a little bit different and weird, was instead of using the burner and the traditional boil kettle, I decided to use my fire pit. So it's all burnt out now because everything was all finished. But what I've got going on now is a burnt down fire pit. And instead of cooling everything down immediately and putting it straight into tanks, I decided to leave it out in a couple of little makeshift cool ships. So when you're at breweries like Jester King is really famous for doing this type of beer, they're making beers that are spontaneously fermented. And then sometimes they're pitching yeast into them as well. And that is something that I'm probably going to end up doing, pitching a little of like Kolsch ale yeast or something similar into the beer, kind of seeing what it does with mixed fermentation. But I've got it going in this pot. That's my little cool ship because I obviously don't have a cool ship. So that one's my boil pot. And I left that one out here. You can see there's some nature, some nice trees. I thought maybe it would pick up some nice yeast and bacteria from there. And then I also have a little garden. I'll tell you about the garden, but the most important thing in the garden at the moment, other than the dogs. Hi, Bowser. Hi, buddy. You want to show him your cool ship? I put a little bit of the spent grain of my coffee grounds in the soil, and I'm going to mix them up in there. And Bowser would very much like to have it as a snack, so he's been real interested in the garden. But I put another smaller batch in an additional container. just so I could maybe get a little bit of different yeast and bacteria from my plants. I've got Zulu peppers here. I've got sugar rush peppers. And I've got some cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna mix that grain and those coffee grounds up in the soil. And so those have been sitting. I finished my boil kind of late last night, so not quite 24 hours. And it's been nice and cool, so I'm not sure what might have gotten into it, but hopefully something good. And then we'll add some Kolsch yeast and see what it does the rest of the way. I don't know, I've never brewed anything just with no recipe, with no real specific plans. I've never gotten to just mess around like that. You know, when I was home brewing, I was still learning. We're always all still learning, but I was very much still learning. And so I was brewing recipes and trying to follow them to a T. And if I hadn't, I probably would have messed them up pretty good. So then I started brewing professionally, and obviously for a lot of reasons, we're following these recipes and these, you know, standard operating procedures, and we're following those to a T so that the beers remain consistent, so that they're quality, so that they're repeatable. It's very much a science, and so I've never gotten to just, I'm gonna throw it together and do whatever I feel like. So I did a couple of those. There's also a couple of clean beers fermenting inside. Put some Calypso in one of them. I put a little bit of Laurel in the ones that are out in the cool ship, and then some Calypso in the clean beer. So we'll see how that goes. Other than that, man, cooking a lot, trying to grow some food, feeling ready to get back to work and brew some larger batches of beer, put up a swing. Got my hammock over there. I'm a homeschool teacher now. Not that I have to do a whole lot, because my son's teachers are pretty amazing. Just with no warning, they had to set up an entire curriculum to teach a whole middle school's worth of children the same things at the same level, at the same quality as when they had them in person, 8 hours a day. So I'm really impressed with their ability to adapt. We're all adapting in this together and just kind of figuring out what it is that we're doing and how everything has changed and will continue to change, because we're all going to get let back out into society, and hopefully we're not going to go nuts and all French kiss each other at the same time. But, we might have some adapting to do. We might have to refigure out how to live our lives, and these restaurants and bars and breweries, they've put some really good things into place. We were talking on a Zoom meeting with the Pink Boots Society ladies. A few of us had some coffee. Just talking about some things that have been implemented that are good, that will stay. And, I think the ability for online ordering and the fact that people are so focused on hand washing and sanitizing, and to be honest, that should have been a focus for everyone. And luckily, the places that I've worked, that's been a good focus. But we should have all been washing our hands and probably not just kissing each other on the mouth to begin with. So hopefully some good SOPs and sanitation practices are going to come out of that. Some online ordering and to-go food and selling of crowlers and maybe even some kegs for people's kegerators. That'll definitely be a good thing. I think being able to deliver alcohol as long as we're checking IDs is a really great way to go. And then also just like the support from the communities. We've got bar owners and brewery owners that are working, collecting tips and paying their employees that are stuck at home. I know that Ben at the Bearded Monk has always been great with supporting local charities, supporting his employees and making sure everybody's taken care of, but especially now, he is still taking donations for Love Packs and Monsignor King. He is still giving his tips for his hard-earned, the hard-earned money that he works for all day. He's giving that to his employees so they can stay safely at home. And that's just not something everybody's willing to do. Samantha at Funky Picnic is doing the same thing. She's working all day, every day, and she's making sure her employees are taken care of instead of taking care of herself first, even though her business needs some attention right now. She needs some attention, I'm sure, but she's giving it to us instead and sacrificing that to make sure that her people are taken care of. She's got an at-home training program set up already so that we can work from home and learn, and she's supporting us, just mentally and telling us to log hours for exercising and for learning and for, studying the Cicerone and just, some really amazing concepts. And I think that a lot of people could be doing some of their work from home, that, this educational component, this wellness component that she has included in her learning and her training is really good. I think that could be implemented in a lot of ways, in a lot of places for a lot of different businesses. But I don't know, hopefully somebody out there enjoys me talking at you for a little while. I miss being in the room for Free Beer Friday and having somebody to cheers with, but I'm staying at home for now. And when I go and I work, I'm as safe as possible, and hopefully y'all are too. So if you can safely get out there, go check out a Pink Boots beer. Go support the people that have supported us and show them some love like they showed us some love. And we appreciate you. And hopefully we'll be back to it soon. Cheers, everybody.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. We want to thank our partners and sponsors who made this show possible. And now stick around for a word from all of us here at Discover Denton. Denton, Texas, where your next great experience awaits. In these unexpected times, your health and safety is our number one concern. This will not last forever, but for now, we send you love from afar. It may not be tomorrow, but as soon as you are able, we look forward to having you visit. Denton's music, food, art, and community will be waiting right here, ready to greet you. Stay safe, we wish you the best wherever you are, and we will see you as soon as we can in Denton, Texas.